Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AIM Impact on Your Health. AIM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AIM Impact on Your Health is heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you live and alive today in this first week of March 2010. We have turned the page on Monday to a new month in this new year, and hope you enjoy being with us today. AIM Impact on Your Health, where each and every show we have knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, a special friend. I think I can call him friend. I'm just in awe about his journey and how much he has been able to contribute to those who are looking for information about their health. And I think you'll have to admit, if you can remember Russ Francis and his previous shows with us, and I think we've had him on 5 or 6 times already. He now comes back to us today talking about, well, his original book. We'll ask him to go back and talk about his original text called Never Be Sick Again. I think there's a strong message there. But unlike the previous shows we've done with Raymond, we won't belabor that point. He has an up-and-coming book. I find out in talking to him yesterday, it's not released yet, but what a bombshell book it's going to be. Listen to the topic, cancer treatments. I'm guessing those would work, those that don't work. What a topic from a scientist that will give us some information today that, I just know that you'll like to place in a certain point in your information armamentarium. Anyway, Raymond Francis, excuse me, Raymond Francis with us today. The number, of course, to get in on this, if you have a question, want to call in to ask it or make a comment, the number, as always, 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Raymond Francis with us today. Now, some scheduling and some bookwork items based even on our last show. The up-and-coming schedule, Friday is open. I don't know if we're going to need part 2 of Raymond or not. I'll find out as the show goes on today. Dr. Edward Condrot coming to town. Spoke to him the other day. He's going to be with us on the 15th of March, 1 week before essentially his arrival here in Pittsburgh on the 21st, to do the free seminar out there at the Marriott, the Airport Marriott, just at the Montour Run exit, just past Robinson Township, on the way to Pittsburgh International Airport. big hotel right along the parkway there. It's going to be given a free seminar on the 21st. You know about it. Then going to have a treatment seminar for the following 4 days. That's Monday through Thursday of that same week. I promised you that I would get you a number. Here's the number to his office, an 800 number that will enable you to find out those who have a desire to be involved in the treatment seminar. I know he limits it to 12. Couldn't tell you the other day. Still can't tell you how many are involved in this particular treatment seminar, whether there are openings or not. But the office phone number, according to Dr. Edward Condrot, is, here it is, write it down, 1-800-430-9328. That's 1-800-430-9328. You can call out there to Phoenix and find out from his staff what the count and the amount is for the up-and-coming Pittsburgh seminars. You can enroll to reserve a seat in the free seminar on the 21st, which is a Sunday. I already know from talking to Dr. Edward Condrot that the festivities begin at 10 o'clock on that day. And then for more information about the actual treatment seminar, I think we'll either get that from Ed when we visit with him on the 15th, or you can get that from the office if you have a mind to find out more. Once and finally, that number, 1-800-430-9328. On the 17th of the month, going to have Christopher Moore with us talking about 4 advances that could end heart disease. Well, that sort of catches my eye and my ear. It should catch your ear for sure on the 17th. You don't want to miss that show with Christopher Moore. And then as the month moves on, there will be more things to fill in this month of March. Speaking of filling in things, look, I was there the other night, there on Monday night, out there at the St. Francis Convent in Castle Shannon to visit with Jean Hanlos and all of her friends. She had quite a crowd out there. It looks like it's a monthly thing, or at least it's a repeatable thing. Those that want more information should get a hold of Jean. She's having these seminars. I was out there on the agenda with a couple of other health practitioners. But before the night was out, I want to tell you, I have been talking about the Ciara holographic chip. And, as patients come into my office, if they have a pain problem, I put a chip on. And I've seen some excellent responses. I was seeing fantastic responses, and I would report that to you. But I would say that, this was a slow trickle of patients that I was seeing in my office. What happened out there on Monday night was there was a room full of people, and I made the announcement that if anybody had a pain problem, a sleep problem, or an energy problem, I brought all my chips with me, and so I'd be happy to place one of those chips for any one of those three reasons before the evening was up. And I'll tell you what, I was barraged by those who were interested in partaking of my offer. The reason I'm reporting it to you was even in my in what I was able to observe, Jean went around a little later on, and I think there were probably around 50 to 60 people there. And although not all 60 people came up to me, I would say about 30 did. And that was the first time in any given venue I had 30 people that would have something to report to me almost immediately because, well, they were in that room and I was seeing them right at the beginning of the evening. Well, here's the report that I think I'm honestly able to impart to you, and that is, before the night was up, I'm guessing because I don't have the actual number, of the 30 people that I saw, the 25 of them had pain issues. There were 5 that had sleep issues and energy issues, and I have to be honest, I probably can't report with respect to them how any of that went because I gave them, in most cases, a chip to take home and told them where to place it. But I can sure make a report about the 25 people who had a pain problem. They showed me where it was. I put the pain chip directly over the pain problem, and in many cases, here we go again. This always amazes me. It certainly amazed Jean Hanlos, and I think it amazed the people that we placed the chip on. In most cases, within moments, I mean a minute, they reported some funny sensations, and within 2 to 3 minutes, there's one patient that did not respond by the end of the evening, and that has to be reported. But of the 25, 24 had an excellent response. This is amazing to me. This allows me to even become more vocal about the use of the Ciara chip. And I'm just going to tell you, please get to the website. If you get a pain problem, either come on in to see me so I can place one of these chips on you, and I'll do that for free, just to make certain that you'll be able to properly assess this and make a decision as to whether it helps you. But these are these holographic chips designed by this company Ciara, the company CIE, second word AURA, is a company who brought this technology to us, and it is working. I haven't been able to report much on the other 2 issues other than pain, because there's 3 chips right now. There's one for pain problems, there's one for people who have difficulty with getting to sleep, and another one, what a common one this one is a complaint, no energy, no tiger in their tank. And because I end up either placing the chip on them and telling them, to let me know how things are going on the next succeeding days, I'm not getting the feedback on that one. I can't report. But I'm getting feedback, immediate feedback on the pain chip. So that's why I keep bringing the information to you on it. Please, if you want if you have a pain problem, you're looking for a way of relief. By the way, I've got to say, this does not fix whatever the pain or the origination or the cause or the source of the pain problem. This doesn't do that. This is a way to deal with the symptom of pain and it appears to be, for whatever reason you might have pain, this chip has a high percentage chance of being able to give you another modality of relief. Either take me up on my offer to come in to see me here, or go to the website. It's the website. It actually exists. There are people that keep calling up in the office and say, I can't get onto that website. And we found out a couple of reasons, maybe why. The other day, maybe you're putting it in the search engine and not in the address portion of that screen. I know, I'm not tech-oriented either. I made those mistakes early on. But here's the website. You got to go to it. Please take me up on my offer, or go to the website and just order the chip in. Percentage-wise is well into the 80% to 90% range right now that you're going to get relief. Trust me on that. And the website is www.drcourtney. That's DR, no period there, DRCOURTNEY dot Ciara, CIEAURA.com. www.drcourtney.ciara.com. Go to the website, order them in. You're able to do that on your own. And then let me know. By the way, let me know how things turned out. I just feel really good about having so many people to have an experiment that I wasn't even really checking on it for experimental reasons, but Jean Hanless insisted she go around the room, and everybody who had a chip placed, she was trying to get a response, and she came back, she said, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but I only have one patient, one person, an individual in the audience that didn't get a response. Everybody else did. That is amazing results to me, and I pass that on to you. Also, too, just that same night to mention, a lot of folks had a chance to sample Fruit of the Spirit. The little cups out there, they took a little swig of it. I think everybody reported how good it tasted. We allow individuals to pick up on that taste. And remember, 14 biblical fruit purees. 2 ways to get a hold of that stuff. 1, call an 800 number, 1-800-442-3793. Once again, 1-800-442-3793. You can order it that way. Or you can do it online at fruitspirit.net. Not Fruit of the Spirit, fruitspirit.net. When you get to say, I'm interested in ordering some, you eventually get led to a screen. You click on the prompt that is given, and then you'll see my name. And then once you click on it, you'll be given the directions on how to proceed next in order to order it. And you'll see probably about 15 to 20 different doctors throughout the country who are listed on that site. I just happen to be one of them. Click on it, and you'll get the ability to order it at a reduced price. I checked with the company the other day. Price is still $29.99 or $29. Just $29. Let's say $29 instead of the original $39. I hope you'll be happy with that. And that's all the reporting I have to do on these products. Oh, we should mention I'm putting an APB out for all diabetics. We've got the shoe tree in here. We've got the examples of these custom-made shoes. Your diabetic shoes are covered by your insurances almost in all cases, and diabetic supplies will be delivered to you directly if you don't like the idea of having to go out and get them on your own. I've been told by the gentleman who runs this particular it's called Advanced Diabetic Solutions. His name is Alan Ridgway. We had him on the show the other day, and I hope you take me up on my offer for that. Come on in the office. We'll get you measured. We'll get you custom shoes, and your insurance will take care of it. Got a knock on the door real quickly. Go right ahead. Come on in.
Hey, Doc, it snowed again last night. What's going on?
Oh, we didn't get snow, Danville. What's on your mind, buddy?
Well, my neck is feeling a little better.
Did you? I'm glad to hear that because I was worried about you getting pushed down the road a little too quickly here with some crazy recommendations, surgical ones. I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
Yeah. That's my buddy down the block who had the neck fusion, whatever. He has plenty of insurance, so I don't. I have none.
All right. So I'm glad to hear you're getting relief. By the way, if you can hear me talk about these CR chips, you should probably take me up my offer, but I want you to get a little better evaluation of what the cause of that pain and discomfort is before you start masking it. Okay, glad to hear it's improving on its own. You need to get evaluated by somebody to come down and with a specific diagnosis as to why you have the pain. And once we're sure that you don't really have pain for any organic reason for which if you covered over top of it, you would really putting yourself at risk. Once you're sure that this is musculoskeletal, then you should use whatever you can to get relief. Try those chips I keep talking about, CR chips. Go to the website.
What's a chip? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, these holographic chips. You gotta. There's these little chips. You literally place them on the skin using an Oriental / energy approach. We get pain relief almost immediately in the highest percent of cases. This is something new, brand new technology. It's just sort of out and about. A year from now, I'm guessing you'll be able to find it anywhere. But right now, you get it at a website, my website, www.drcourtney.ciaura.com.
This is not acupuncture?
It is not acupuncture. No, this is chips that you can place on you yourself and be highly accurate, because there's a 4-inch window that you have on the skin surface as opposed to an acupuncture needle, which you'd never want to do. But because there's so little forgiveness, you get about a millimeter tolerance with those needles. That's why it takes so long to develop the art. But here, with the chips, especially with a pain problem, it's pretty easy to do. Okay, Danville?
Okay.
All right, got to run. Keep listening. We got Raymond Francis coming. You'll love to hear his message.
All right,
Okay, there you go. So Danville has checked in. And my message to all of you out there, don't be looking to erase a pain symptom if you don't know why you have that pain. You go get evaluated. You make sure that whatever is causing that pain is perfectly diagnosed and is not indicative of some organic problem that if you masked it would not be good for you. So I'm not looking to mask pain without running down a diagnosis. But once you have one, if it's musculoskeletal, then absolutely in that case, you should attempt to get relief in whatever way possible, and the CR chip is one way to do just that. Okay, let's take a break. It's time. We're going to take a short break, and in the interim, we're going to get hold of our guest today, Russ Francis. Never be sick again, but what if you have cancer? What do you do? How do you evaluate these therapies? You'll come to trust Russ Francis, and he'll tell you how. Be back in a moment with Russ.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has a typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Wednesday version of the show here in this month of March 2010. And oh boy, today we got a special guest. You know him. You've come to respect his advice. And it's been a while since we've had him back, but we had him so many times in our show, and every time he comes back, he gets stimulating thought going on in all of our listeners, and they do respond in a whole bunch of ways. Of course, this gentleman, a man of science, and boy, what a man of science he is, brings to you advice on your health and how to, well, initially, never be sick again. Title of his first book. This gentleman has got a strong message. You'll enjoy him if you've never heard him before. And if you have heard him, you'll love to hear these encore performances. His name is Raymond Francis. We bring him to you now. We say good morning, Raymond, and thanks for allowing us to interfere with your morning.
Well, thank you, Dennis. It's always an honor to be on your show, and you're such a gracious host. It's a wonderful experience.
Well, let's and I want to tell you what a wonderful experience this is for me. So this goes both ways, Raymond. Please take a moment because your story is so powerful, but it does set the stage for a respect for your words that if you don't take that time, people who just tune in today and don't know Raymond Francis, they're going to be wondering, what is this guy? What kind of message is he bringing? So you've got a powerful story about your own personal health, which led to, well, you just abandoning your job, your work, and move into an area for which you had no training whatsoever, but for which your message is so powerful. Heck with the training. Boy, you've got a way to help us all. Take some time for Raymond and talk to us about your personal quest.
Well, first of all, I'm a scientist by training. I'm a chemist. I'm a graduate of MIT, so that's my background. But I actually went into the business world, became president of an international management consulting company. And in 1985, I took ill, and I went to see my doctors, and my doctors did what doctors do, and they gave me drugs, and the drugs poisoned my liver. My liver died, and my death was a medical certainty from liver failure due to chemical toxicity from the drugs that the doctors gave to me. I was so close to death that I literally could not even move my body. I had no strength to move my body at all. I was just totally gone. And at the very last moment, I used my own knowledge of biochemistry to save my life. And it was absolutely dramatic. I mean, I went from not being able to move in a little over 24 hours to be able to sit up in bed. And that was really a miracle. It took me 2 years of hard work and learning to restore my health to where I could go back to work. I did go back to work for a few years. I went back to work in late 87. But in mid-91, I quit. I just resigned from everything. Because during that time, a good scientist never stops asking the question, why? And I kept asking, why did I get sick? How did I get sick? How do people get sick? How do you take a healthy person and make them a sick person? And if you have a sick person, what do you have to do to restore their health and make them a healthy person? And I started getting answers to these questions, and the answers were so profound, they just blew me away. And of course, it was totally different from what our doctors believe and think. So it was really revolutionary. And so in mid-91, I resigned from everything. I resigned. I was even on the board of directors of a local hospital. I resigned from everything and decided to devote the remainder of my life to improving the health of the American people. And then a few years back, that culminated in writing my first book, Never Be Sick Again. And Never Be Sick Again has gone all over the world. I mean, it is a revolutionary book. because it fundamentally changes the way you think about health and disease. And so for the average person to read that, and of course it's really based on very complex, cutting-edge molecular biology and cellular biochemistry, all explained in a language that a small child can understand.
That's right. I wanted to make certain that you're a man of science, and you could have a discussion with any scientist anywhere at a level that you two, who are having a conversation, could communicate. The person that you wrote that book for wasn't for the scientist. It was for the layperson, and it is written in language, I attest to the fact, that is just able to be appreciated by anybody. The title's simple enough. The message is profound. I think you used the right word there. And it can be garnished by anybody who reads that book, scientist or not. And I do mean that other way. The scientists could grab the book and enjoy it too.
Yes, oh, absolutely, and they do. They do. Even we have doctors all over the world read this book and change the way they practice medicine. We just had, I think about 6-8 weeks ago, we got another communication from a doctor in England, and it was a lady doctor, and she said, it's interesting. It takes them about 20 years to figure out that what they're doing doesn't work. It's amazing how many doctors have come to us and said, I've been practicing medicine for 20 years, and I finally figured out, and this is what this lady said. She said she's been practicing for 20 years. She's finally figured out that all she has done for 20 years is harm people. And she said it just threw her into a state of depression. And she was so unhappy and so depressed and so disillusioned that she was ready to quit medicine and never practice medicine again. And then she read Never Be Sick Again. And she said she's going to continue to practice medicine, but she's going to practice in a whole
different way.
And she's not the only doctor. We've had a whole bunch of doctors around the world, and of course, Never Be Sick Again. I mean, it's gone all over the world. It's been translated into Chinese, the biggest language in the world, selling very well in China, by the way. Just the other day, just last week, I got the copy of the Romanian edition. It's been translated to Romanian, into French, into into French, into Polish. I mean, it's been printed in Africa. It's gone around the world, and people everywhere. And one of the things that happens, and this was really strange, is that people with cancer were started to read the book and cure their cancer. And the first guy this happened to, I even did a radio show with him that was so profound. He was the CEO of a fairly large corporation. And he called me one day and he said, I want to thank you because you saved my life. And I said, well, what did I do? And he said that he had been diagnosed with kidney cancer, went to the hospital, had one kidney surgically removed, had radiation and chemotherapy, and he was just totally debilitated. He walked into the hospital under his own power. They wheeled him out in a wheelchair, and then they told him the bad news. They said the cancer had spread all over his body, and there was nothing more that they could do for him. And he asked, how long do I have to live? And they said, 50-50 chance of being alive in 6 months. Well, this guy, wheelchair and all, went to Barnes & Noble, bought a copy of Never Be Sick Again, went home, and cured his terminal cancer. And that was the first time that we became aware that people could read Never Be Sick Again and go home and cure cancer. And since then, it's just happened over and over and over again. We had a lady just last year. She had cancer on her neck. She had the cancerous tumor removed from her neck, and she was told she was cured. And about 6 months later, they found a bunch of lesions in her lungs, 5 lesions in one lung, and they told her she needed to have the lung removed. Well, at that point, she went to Barnes & Noble, bought a copy of Never Be Sick Again, and realized that we were in the next town over from where she lived. So she came to our office and she said, I have cancer, and what should I do? And we said, well, follow what's in the book, and here's a supplement program. Get on these supplements and do what this says in the book. So anyway, she went away. Well, a month later, she came roaring into the office, screaming. Why was she screaming? She was scheduled for surgery to have a lung removed. She went to the hospital for the scheduled surgery. They did a scan on the lung so that the doctor could see an up-to-date scan of the problem. And guess what? There were no lesions.
Wow.
And they kept redoing the scans because they thought there was something wrong with the machine.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And they sent her home. And instead of going home, she drove to our office. And
that's why she was screaming.
Screaming.
That's why she was screaming. Well, this is very interesting because, as I know, having read the book, and many of my listeners who have read the book have a copy probably in their hand right now. Now, your message, powerful as it is in in your first book, which is Never Be Sick Again, is a message for overall general good health. And to see that, you don't lay out this in terms of use this to treat cancer. You just say to be healthy and never be sick at all again, you need to probably follow this plan. And lo and behold, the powerful message is by following your general plan, you took on, and even probably surprised you at the time, full-blown cases of cancer that you weren't specifically describing how to treat it, yet your general plan was working in that specific case, which we know to be a terrible situation for anybody to be in. And no wonder people are running into your office and screaming. And did that say to Raymond Francis, look, you know what, maybe I should probably just concentrate on this and do what I do best, is use my scientific mind to delve into this specific medical problem and see how I can even enlighten even more people in a better way than my general message was for health in general. Does that pretty much sum up, maybe, Raymond, what happened here?
Well, you're pretty prescient because that's exactly what happened. And I am now in the process of writing an entirely new book just on how to cure cancer.
That book.
And, of course, the first book, Never Be Sick Again, tells you there's really only one disease. And that's one of the reasons why our doctors fail, because they don't understand that. They think there are thousands of different diseases with thousands of different causes, with thousands of different treatments, and it isn't. There's really only one disease, and that's an individual cell that is not functioning the way it should. We're all made of these little units of life called cells. And if every cell in your body is functioning just the way nature intended, then you can't be sick. The only way you can be sick is when a massive number of cells malfunction. And when that happens, you're going to notice something. And then we have what we call symptoms. And then the doctor categorizes the symptoms and says, oh, you have diabetes, or you have arthritis, or you have and the truth is, what you have is cells that are not working the way they should. And we know why that happens. Cells don't work the way they should because either they're not getting everything that they need to work properly, or they're getting something that's interfering with their normal function. And we call those two problems deficiency and toxicity. So cells malfunction because of deficiency and toxicity. So let's say, for example, that you have an enlarged prostate, as so many older men do today. Well, the prostate is a zinc-rich tissue. So the cells in the prostate need more zinc than other cells in the body. So if you're deficient in zinc, which cells are going to malfunction first?
Expected prostate, yeah.
Exactly. And so then the doctor says, oh, you have a prostate problem. And no, you don't. What you have is deficiency and toxicity. And if you give yourself some zinc, you may find that the prostate problem goes away. So That's our approach. Our approach, the doctor uses what we call a toximolecular approach. That's what we chemists call a toxic. What they do, if you have a problem, they give you toxic chemicals that actually disable certain cells in your body. They poison certain cells in the body in order to alleviate a symptom or to produce some other so-called good effect. For example, let's say high blood pressure. You have high blood pressure. Well, the doctor has an arsenal here. He can give you a poison that will poison your kidneys, and that will lower your blood pressure. He can give you another poison that poisons your central nervous system. That will lower your blood pressure. Another poison will poison your heart, and that will lower your blood pressure. And oftentimes the doctor has to give you more than one type in order to achieve the objective. Well, okay, so you've lowered your blood pressure, but at what cost? You're being poisoned. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be poisoned because that's crazy. That's what disease is. Disease is when you cause a cell to malfunction, and that's what the doctor is doing, causing cells to malfunction. So the doctor is causing disease. And so you go to the doctor with one disease, he puts you on the drugs, you come back with 4 diseases, and the doctor doesn't say, oops, you came with one, now you have 4 diseases. No. The doctor says, ooh, those are side effects.
Well, you mentioned that the pharmaceutical regime, and you named pretty clearly that these are poisons being used by we doctors to get a desired symptom relief. And maybe the listeners out there had really never thought of it in those terms before. But I tell you what, even the most uneducated of those listeners out there, not sophisticated at all, certainly know that in the case of cancer, the word poison takes on a completely different significance.
Right.
So take a moment, Raymond, and I'm sure you start from that point. I can see where a blood pressure medicine, if it's considered a poison, oh my goodness gracious, I'm dying to hear what you think about one of these chemotherapeutic agents, which by its very design, there's no pretext here. There's no mincing of words. It is a poison, and that's why you're taking it, because it's a poison. Take a moment and talk about our conventional treatment of cancer from that same model that you used a moment ago, talking about a blood pressure medicine.
Well, Dennis, 100 years from now, medical historians will look back on what we're doing and how we treat cancer, and they will think that we were all crazy.
Yes.
And you have to be totally insane to give a sick person that kind of poison. And if it worked, well, maybe it would be okay, but it doesn't work. Chemotherapy does not work. And let me repeat that. Chemotherapy does not work. And everybody knows this. Everybody all the scientists know this. We all know this. It's well established. Chemotherapy does not work. So why do we use it? Well, it's the only thing the doctor knows how to do. And furthermore, the average oncologist earns about 1/3 of their income off of chemotherapy. Well, that's the average. Some of these guys are making half of their income off of chemotherapy. So now they've actually done studies on this, more than one study, by the way. And they've gone out to oncologists. These are cancer specialist doctors who specialize in cancer. And they've gone to the oncologists and they've asked them, doctor, if you personally have cancer or a member of your immediate family has cancer, would you use chemotherapy?
I love this. Go ahead.
3 out of 4 oncologists say no. No.
Absolutely right. I know that statistic. I thought it was around 80%, say 75. I'd go with it.
Actually about 76%. So roughly 3 out of 4. But you got to figure that of the one that says, oh yes, they would, half of those are probably lying because they don't want to seem like hypocrites. So it's probably close to, you're absolutely right, it's probably close to 90% that would not use chemotherapy on themselves or on their family. And then when they ask them, doctor, why not? The answer is because chemotherapy is ineffective and dangerous. So why use it on yourself? This is crazy. And what does it do? Does chemotherapy shrink a tumor? Yes, it does. But do you win? No, you don't, because you still have cancer. And the cancer is just going to come roaring back. And it's going to come roaring back even stronger, because all you do is you kill the cells that are easy to kill, and the tumor shrinks like magic. But the tumor cells that are resistant to the chemotherapy agent now come roaring back a while later, and now you can't kill them because they're the ones that are resistant to the chemotherapy. So you don't want to go there. Always, if you have a medical problem, there is only one option. And you don't have two options, folks. If you're sick, you have one option, and here it is. Get well. That's your only option. Taking prescription drugs does not get you well. Chopping your body up into smaller pieces does not get you well. What gets you well is taking those cells that are malfunctioning through a deficiency and toxicity, addressing the deficiency and toxicity, restoring the cell to normal function. That makes you well. That's your only option. So I don't care if you have diabetes or heart disease or Alzheimer's or arthritis, or, no matter what you have one option. Get well.
Get well. You mentioned just a moment ago, and because we got these three treatments for cancer. We got surgery, we got chemotherapy, we got radiotherapy. Let me just, because I want to cover all three. You said chopping up in pieces. I think I know what you're talking about. I think we're talking about surgery there.
Yes.
And I want to hear the Raymond Francis assessment of surgery, and whether surgery is, in your opinion, as a scientist, and as you've evaluated the literature now, what do you say about the surgical approach?
Well, of the conventional treatments of the radiation and the chemotherapy and the surgery is the safest and the most effective in the long run. And so under certain conditions, it would be okay. But you have to understand that when you chop yourself up into pieces, that you're injuring the body. You know, you can't just go into your wristwatch and start taking pieces out and think it's going to work right. You know, so you have to be careful there. And also, you see, this can cause something called tumor spillage. And so tumor cells can now, as a result of the surgery, travel all over the body. And because you're taking away the primary tumor actually causes the body to release chemicals that are anti-tumor chemicals. When you remove the primary tumor, and you because of the surgery, cancer cells then spread into the bloodstream, and because the primary tumor is gone, the anti-tumor chemicals also go down. You now have primed yourself for metastasized cancer. Now, there are situations in which people have cancer. I just know of a man, for example, who had a intestinal, was growing in his intestines, and he was driving along with his wife, and all of a sudden he doubled over in mortal pain. His wife took over the car, rushed him to the nearest hospital. They found that he had cancer in his intestines, and the cancer had just perforated his bowel.
Yeah.
Well, this man needed surgery.
Yes. In that case, you would have to have surgery.
Exactly. So there are situations where surgery can save your life, but normally it's not the thing that you want to do.
I got a ball I want to throw at you. I see a lot of patients in my office for cancer looking for other options, and I've got a little thing I call a 1 millimeter rule. Now, I've never read this anywhere, but it goes right along and hand in hand with this issue of surgery. I'm gonna bring it out. I say to patients, if I told one of my colleagues the 1 millimeter rule, one of my medical colleagues, they'd think for a moment and they go, you know what? I think you're right. I'm going to throw this 1 millimeter rule out to Raymond Francis and let you comment on it, Raymond, okay? And see if you've ever heard of this rule before, and if you have, fine. If not, just let's get your response. I say to patients who are considering surgery, or maybe even had surgery, look, there's a rule, and we all know the rule, even though we doctors have never seen it written black and white, which is anytime a malignancy has attained a size of about 1 millimeter, it is already off to the races. It is already out. It is already metastasized. It went someplace else already. And even though the intention is going to be diverted to now this 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3 centimeters, the time for surgery was before the 1 millimeter, not after it. Raymond Francis, take a shot at that. Does that fit into?
There's a lot of validity to that. But as with any rule, it's there are exceptions to the rule, and it's not hard and fast. But as a general rule of thumb, it's not a bad rule of thumb. In most cases, I would say at least 75% of cases, and it's hard to say, but at least 75% of cases, by the time cancer is diagnosed, it has metastasized. And furthermore, there's another factor here, and that's that the whole cancer thing is so bad today that if you're over age 50, you're already riddled with cancer. Most Americans over age 50 already have cancer all over their body, so it doesn't matter whether it's here or there. You got it, and you got it all over, and that's how bad the situation is. So if you're over age 50, folks, you most likely have cancer, and I'm sure my body, given my background, I'm sure I'm riddled with cancer.
Chemistry. I mean, that's your background and all this.
Exactly, but that's the bad news. We're all riddled with cancer. Here's the good news. We're even finding this in children now, by the way. Here's the good news. It's not a problem if the cancer doesn't grow. And here's even more good news. You have control over whether or not it grows.
Powerful message. Powerful message.
There we are. We don't need any rule. What you need to do, there's only one option: get well, stay well. That's the only option. So if you're out there and you say, "Oh, I'm in general good health. I got a little pain here, a little ache there, and I got an allergy. Some arthritis, but I'm in good health." No, you're not. And it's time for you to get in good health. Otherwise, what you're looking at down the road is cancer or some other horrible thing happening to you. That's what happens to all Americans. We're dying of these chronic degenerative diseases. And it's only a matter of time before one hits you. And so people are resolved to say, "Oh, okay, that's what's going to happen." So, but it doesn't have to happen. That's the whole thing. It doesn't have to happen. I almost died at age 48. Here I am. I'm going to be 73 in just a matter of days. And I have boundless energy. Absolutely boundless energy.
You sound like it, too. You actually do sound like a perky fella. But you must have just so much great...
People are astounded at how young I look. I'm getting younger every year now. And I never get sick. I'm now into 22 years. I'm now on my 22nd year where I've had one cold in 22 years. And I have an excuse for the one cold. So it's irresponsible to have a cold, but I had one in 22 years. I measure my arteries every 5 years, and I measured my arteries last March. I now have, as of last March, my arteries are down to age 26. My goal is to have the arteries of a teenager by the time I'm 80, and again, anybody can do this. So you don't have to be sick. You don't have to have a poor quality of life. You can feel, I feel like a 20-year-old. I have tremendous energy. I feel fabulous. I'm as sharp as a tack. I know people half my age who are dragging their tails.
Do me a favor to round out the big three. You know what I mean by that. I think you made perfectly great statements with respect to chemotherapy. Your surgical advice was primo. What about, and to round out the big three, radiation? Talk to us a little bit about the radiation.
Well, radiation is totally insane. I mean, the others aren't very good, but the radiation is totally insane because guess what? The one thing we know for absolute certain that causes cancer is radiation.
Thank you, Raymond. Yes.
So again, what you do is you shrink the tumor. You see, the doctor is all about symptoms. So the doctor says, "Oh, I shrank the tumor. Isn't that wonderful?" Well, yeah, but you're going to cause a whole bunch of new cancer a few years down the road because you've just irradiated this person. So that's not the way to go. We know how to cure cancer. We know what causes cancer. There's only two causes of disease, deficiency and toxicity, and cancer is an oxygen deficiency disease. It's a deficiency of oxygen metabolism inside the cell. So we know what causes cancer. We know how to prevent it. We know how to cure it. It's so simple.
Wow. Let me ask you this. We're winding through this hour, but and we spent some time talking about the conventional treatments, and I think the advice that comes from listening to you speak on the three elements of conventional therapy and how you should view it is powerful enough, and probably don't need to spend much more time on it. But I ask you now, as you looked at this subject, I mean, people were running in your office screaming, but following your general rules, that now you've focused on cancer, and a book is in the offing, and it's going to come out. By the way, when's it going to come out?
Well, it'll be out either late this year or very early next year.
Okay, so we got one coming up, folks, and you got the other one. You're going to want to get this one too, and we will absolutely have Raymond back frequently, probably before the thing is released. But as you took the one on as a special topic and interest, did you look at how to give advice about focusing on these healthy activities, healthy treatment modalities, and or did you review what is out there in the, because you've already covered what's in the conventional medium. There are three things. That's all. There are no more. But there are so many different alternative therapies.
Yes.
Did you explore the alternative therapies?
Yes.
Also.
I'm sure I didn't explore every single one of them, but I certainly explored all the major ones, and then I explored all of the biochemistry, and the ones that work because they address the oxygen deficiency in the body. And that's truly amazing. So every time you address the oxygen deficiency, you win. And that just is...
there you go. So the concept of oxygen deficiency is one that you rank up there is one of the prime issues that one needs to look at when any therapy should be evaluated, their ability to change the oxygen environment and improve it. Because tumors, and unbeknownst to the public, they are anaerobic beasts. They function in a non-oxygen environment, and they function very well, as a matter of fact.
Well, there was a chemist in Germany named Johanna Budwig. She was a wonderful, wonderful lady. She died a few years ago, and decades ago, she developed a therapy for treating cancer. It was very, very successful. She used flaxseed oil. And I am sure that Johanna didn't fully understand all the things we do now of why the flaxseed oil worked, but here's why it worked. People today eat the wrong oils. We go to the supermarket. We buy the oils in the supermarket. All those oils will give you cancer. So that's why we eat them and feed them to our children. And when you incorporate those into your cell membranes and make new cells out of these things, they inhibit the transfer of oxygen into the cell, and then the cell turns cancerous. What Johanna was doing was giving people flaxseed oil. She would essentially give you an oil change. Well, when you changed your oil and incorporated the flaxseed oil into the cell membranes, oxygen transfer was increased, and the cancer went away. So you look at all these alternative therapies. The Gerson Clinic, for example, feeds you all these vegetables and things. You look at what happens when you eat those, and guess what? Again, you improve oxygen metabolism in the cell. So it's pretty consistent. The ones that work all improve oxygen metabolism in the cell.
Got to do me a favor, Raymond. I knew this was going to happen. We got a few minutes left, and I could go on listening to you, as my listeners could, for hours upon hours. But I got to say, this is part one. You got to come back, Raymond. You have to come back. We got to do part two.
Happy to come back, and this is such a wonderful. My own brother is now 22 years. He was given 6 months to live 22 years ago with metastasized prostate cancer, and he's still doing just fine. Just came back from a cruise in the Caribbean.
Nice.
22 years of high-quality life after being given 6 months to live. And folks, there's a wealth of information on my website,
beyondhealth.com. Please go there.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, you'll find a whole bunch of radio shows you can listen to. Raymond is all over this country, for that matter, all over this world, and you'll want to hear more than just our little discussion. Raymond, what are you doing Friday morning?
I don't know.
I'm going to try. Look, ladies and gentlemen, don't be surprised that Friday I'm going to talk to Raymond. For sure he'll come back. Maybe we'll make it timely. Maybe it'll be Friday. Maybe it won't. But there is a part two waiting out there.
I think we could do it Friday. I
good.
don't have my calendar in front of me, but I think we can.
All right. I'd love to make it so timely as to say to everybody, hey, you heard part one. You absolutely want to hear part two. Stay tuned for Friday's show. We're going to be talking about those alternative therapies out there and how they change that oxygen equation, I believe, so that you can start sifting through some things you can do right now. I love that idea about the oil change. That was unbelievably powerful.
If you got cancer, you need an oil change, period.
All right. There are those bongos. There's just the crescendo moment of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about when to end the show. I think that was the appropriate moment. Raymond will be with us Friday. I want you to all come back. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney with Raymond Francis saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.
Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075